I guess I'm filming my first travel vlog. Vita and I are in Houston Airport, about halfway on my way to Blade Show. I'm going to film a little bit of Blade Show this week and just show everybody what I go through when I come here. So we're finally in Atlanta, about 3 or 4 hours late. I'm going to go down to get baggage claim and grab my chair. I've got a reclining chair that I bring to sleep in the line at Blade Show. So I'll be sleeping in the line tonight and tomorrow night. Okay, coming into baggage claim and I gotta find my chair. It says it's at Carousel 1. My chair isn't where it's supposed to be. So I'm going to check the odd and oversized baggage, which is sometimes where it ends up. It's supposed to be Carousel 8, wherever that is. Okay, got my chair and I'm ready to go. Finally at the Cobb Galleria. Oh, hey! How are you? You sleeping in your truck? You sleeping in your truck? Ah. Okay, where's the end of the line?
Right there. Right here again.
And what number am I?
You're like 39.
Really?
No.
Is it like curved? It's not as bad as
It's not as bad as you thought it was?
Oh, you get a pants too.
Yeah. So this is the Renaissance Waverly, the infamous pit, as everybody calls it. So this is where all the action is going to be Friday and Saturday night. Okay, we are on the 12th floor, and that's what the pit looks like now. It'll look very different on Friday night. And 12:47. Oh, we just passed it. 12:48.
Okay.
Nothing special. A queen or king size bed. Vita and I are headed to the Cumberland Mall. There's a a complete mall right outside of the Cobb Galleria. There's a great steakhouse here, and that's where we're going for dinner. I forgot my charging cable for my phone, so I'm going to pick up one of those as well. And then I'll go back and hang out in line like everybody else. Here we are at the Stony River. Pretty popular steakhouse, so if you're coming here for Blade Show, make sure you make reservations. It's Wednesday, so hopefully it's not too bad on a Wednesday. We just finished up dinner. Dinner was great as always. It's like the first thing I do when I get here is I have a steak dinner. Plenty of leftovers, so I'll have leftovers for tomorrow sometime should I get hungry. I'm feeling pretty stuffed right now, so hopefully I'll sleep well. I'm heading back to the hotel now to grab all of my gear, and then I'll go out and I'll just sort of sit there and hang out with everybody else. Kind of at the tail end of the line this year. I'm number 18. Normally I'm like within the first 10, so good and bad things about that, I guess. I guess the good thing is it'll be a little quieter, and I tend to sleep a little bit earlier than most of the other guys. But the bad thing is, that my chair is not going to be with the guys that I want to be sitting with. So, yeah, so tonight we'll spend the night. Tomorrow I'll get up early. I'll probably work out a bit, maybe do a little running, get back in line, wait until Eric Hansen gets here, help him set up the FOBOS booth, and then get back in line. There are two things that are going to happen on Thursday. One, Peter Kohler's going to come and hand out his numbers, and those numbers basically signify your place in line for his knives. But the second thing that's going to happen, and this is new this year, is Blade Show is going to actually hand out numbers. And that's because last year what happened is once we all got inside, a bunch of people sort of rushed up to the front, and yeah, and they noticed. So it tends to, I guess that's to be expected if you have a large group of people that are all going in to the same place together and they're all friendly, but Blade Show didn't like that. So, even though most of the folks that did that, and I'm sure there were other groups other than the Dark Timber group that did it, but the Dark Timber group was right at the front, and you know, even though we were all going to the same place, you know, it doesn't look good. So Blade Show's going to be handing out numbers tomorrow, so I've got to make sure that I'm in line when that happens. Haven't quite figured out how that's going to work, given that I need to work part of the show, but we'll see. You might be wondering, when I say I'm going to get my gear to spend the night, what I might have with me. Well, I've got some water, I've got a blanket, I've got my chair, of course, which reclines a bit, so it's fairly comfortable. This year I brought a tarp, knowing that there were already people out here. I wasn't going to be underneath the protection of the building, so I brought a tarp because tomorrow is like a 60% chance of rain. I've got my computer, I've got battery chargers, my phone, all that kind of good stuff. So I've got stuff to keep me busy while I'm sitting there in line. Got stuff to keep me warm and stuff to keep me dry. Picked up my gear from the room. You can get to the Galleria by stopping at the second floor. If you get off at the second floor, you don't have to go through the pit. You just walk around to the other side. So it's pretty convenient, especially Friday and Saturday evenings. When the pit gets pretty crowded, you don't have to, you know, wander through a bunch of people. You can just walk around. Now, this is the big banquet hall, I guess. That's at the top of the escalators from the pit. And those are the bathrooms. So if you're spending the night, those are the bathrooms that you typically would use. You access them through this hallway. So this hallway from the hotel takes you directly into the Cobb Galleria. And if you can get into this hallway, you know, then you can use this bathroom. Otherwise, you're walking around and you're basically coming up the stairs. Almost 7 o'clock on Wednesday. Here's my little space, and looks like there's a few people have come in after me. I'm gonna sit here and do some video and go to sleep, I guess. It's about 1 o'clock. It just rained. I draped myself over with my tarp, and I've got my rain gear on. So it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and it started raining. So I brought my bag in because my computer's in my bag, so that it would stay dry. And I'm going back out. I've got a tarp that I'm staying under, except the tarp isn't pitched in any way to really keep me dry. It's just sort of draped over, you know, over me and my chair. So as long as I don't play with it too much, I'll stay dry-ish. My blanket is still in its roll on the ground, and it's probably soaking up water. There's not much I can do about that. It's fairly warm out though, so I think underneath the tarp, you know, with the body heat and all, I should probably stay pretty warm. You know, it won't get really cold for another 2 hours, so we'll see. That's Greg's setup, and there's Brandon and Eric. So it's 1:30 and everybody else is trying to sleep. I've already slept, so I am wide awake. As I said earlier, it rained about midnight, I guess. Or it rained kind of maybe for 30 minutes. So everything's wet, but I'm still in my spot. I brought my REI tarp with me, which, you know, it's not super waterproof, so when you're bunching it up like this, it's no good. But I had it over my head earlier. I was doing that sort of thing, and it kept me dry, so I don't think it's going to rain until tomorrow morning, so I should be good. And of course, Evita wants me to come inside and sleep, but that's not what I'm here for the next 2 days. There's my chair. Everyone's gotten really sophisticated this year in terms of their sleeping setups. In the past it was just chairs, but so it's just about 6 a.m. and I've been up for about the last hour trying to get some sleep, but I can't, so I figure I'm just gonna go back to the room, make sure all my electronics are charged, change into some gym clothes, go to the gym for an hour, get some breakfast with Vita, and then then go back and sit in my chair. So I think I mentioned before, this is going to be an interesting blade show for me. So I'm in line to get a dark timber knife, but there's probably less than a handful of dark timbers that are going to be on the table that that I might be interested in. And previous years I've been in the top 10. This year I'm number 18. So the likelihood of me actually walking away with a knife this year, I think, is pretty slim. I've really been trying to concentrate on getting knives that I'm going to use, and trying to unload knives that I haven't been using. So if I don't, if there's not a knife on the table that I can see myself using, then I'm just not going to pick anything up, unless I get asked to proxy for somebody, which basically means somebody who couldn't make it to the show, who's at the show but can't get to the table, asks me to buy a knife for them, then I'll buy a knife for them. Later this afternoon, my guess would be 1 or 2 o'clock. We'll be able to start with the FOBOS setup. So we'll spend a couple hours setting up the table, and and I don't know, I don't know what's gonna happen. We'll see. So I've had my breakfast. Since I'm a Marriott Platinum Elite member, I get access to their concierge lounge. So I got breakfast up there, which is nice. Doesn't cost me anything. And now it's back to the my chair. It's supposed to rain today. We're supposed to, I don't know, it said 10% at like 11 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. So earlier I was talking about the gym. The gym here is okay. I mean, like I said, as Marriott gyms go, it's not great. It has a lot of machines, which is great if you're into machines. So you can work a lot of body parts, but from a free weight perspective, the highest dumbbells they carry are 30 pounds. Most Marriotts have up to 50, and the benches that they're using are pretty kind of funky benches. But I mean, if you're, you can get a full body workout in, you can get your cardio in. They've got treadmills and bikes and ellipticals, and so from that perspective, from the amount of equipment that they have and the size, yeah, it's pretty decent. I mean, it's a fairly big gym. They've got like 5 treadmills, probably another 5 ellipticals. I think they had four bikes. So from that standpoint, yeah, they've got a lot. But if you're looking to do a lot of free weight stuff, not so much. They do have some place where you can do pull-ups and such, which is good. So I probably shouldn't hate on it so much. You can get a pretty decent workout there. I'm just disappointed by the by the 30-pound max in their dumbbell equipment. I just think that's really lame. So it's about 8:30. Scott. And let's see. I am filming. That's how long the line is at 8:30 in the morning on Thursday. So, some behind the scenes of knife booth setup at the Blade Show. So here's where the FOBOS booth has been placed. It's in the second room against the wall. We're just waiting for our gear so we can set stuff up. Thursday night about 9:30. And you can see crowds everywhere. That crowd in the middle has gotten a lot bigger than it was. Just a couple guys last night. And then it doesn't go that much further than it did this morning, but there are a lot more people. I didn't update much today. I spent the better half of the afternoon putting together the FOBOS booth, and so we're ready to go for that. And yeah, FOBOS is really really has a nice booth. It's got some great knives. It's probably got the best giveaways of the show that I've seen since I've been coming. I mean, it's giving away, Eric is giving away 6 knives with killer sheaths from 3 different sheath makers. And some of these sheaths, they're valued up to $400. You get a $400 sheath and close to a $300 knife. It's a pretty good giveaway.
Yeah, I always have. Yeah, I don't get it. Yeah, I remember it being
Bunch of folks hanging out here at the upper section of the hotel. Normally folks don't hang out here. It's a little interesting. Looks like it's the balisong crowd. So they'll hang out and twirl their balisongs. So it's 11 on Thursday, 11 p.m. on Thursday. And just checking out the subtle pit crowd. There's not much going on in the pit tonight. A few folks here. That place over there has got pretty good mead, so if you enjoy mead, this is the place to be. So it's 6 o'clock in the morning, and last night was pretty uneventful. I've come up to my room to check on Vita. Yesterday, while I was working in the FOBOS booth, they came by, they being the Blade Show team, came by and gave out your Blade Show numbers. So this year, without a number, if you're an early bird, I don't know how high they went up to. I would imagine maybe the first 50, maybe the first 100. But if you don't have one of these numbers, you're not getting into the, well, I shouldn't say you're not getting into the show. If you don't have one of these numbers, they're going to push you to the back of the line. So if you've been sitting there for 2 days and you missed out on your number, you're at the back of the line. So while I was working on the FOBOS booth, Vita was kind enough to proxy for me. So I got my number. And then a little bit after that, when I finished setting up the FOBOS booth, Peter Kohler came by. I got my Dark Timber number 13. Not a great number for getting knives, but hopefully there'll be something on the table that I want. So I was gonna run this morning, but instead I think what I'm gonna do is just go up to the concierge lounge, get some breakfast, and then get back in line. Last year I went and exercised and showered and did a whole bunch of stuff, and I missed the entrance, so I can't do that this year. Last year I missed when they opened the doors and let everybody in the show. They only let people in 2 or 3 hours early, and then you basically stand in line and you wait. Concierge is not open yet. What the heck? Oh, 7:30. Okay, let's see what we got going on here. Hello everybody. Hey, Julio. So it is Friday morning and it is 7:23 a.m. and frankly, the line is surprisingly short. Doesn't really look like it's grown much. Let's see. Oh, no, I'm wrong. Oh, yes, it's grown quite a bit. And these folks might have even been, some of these folks might have even been here yesterday and I just missed them. Wowzers. Yeah, I mean, some of them look like they've been here a while. They probably got here early in the morning. So 9:30 in the morning, and this is where I was sleeping earlier. And this is the line. You gotta have a card to get in. Let's see how far back it's going. Yeah, that's a big crowd. So I was let in a couple hours ago, and I went and dropped off my chair, and now I'm going to try to get back to my space. Here's the inside, what it looks like. This is cool. They usually have displays of different types of pocket knives. There's usually a Randall display over here if you're a Randall guy. So we'll take a quick look at the Randall display.
I've got a little bitty for it. I got to back away. I was breathing. I got masks.
Do you mind?
Oh, go ahead. You all know. Yeah.
Is it part time?
Well,
So if you don't...
for the last year, I just really like random knives.
Here's the entrance. Here's the Dark Timber crowd. Okay, I gotta get my spot back. Here's my guys. It's 9:59, so we should be coming in soon. Okay, so we're gonna go in. I'm gonna make a beeline for the Dark Timber table, then I'm gonna go to the Work Tough Gear table, and then I'm gonna head over to FOBOS. Wristbands up!
Numbers, you can throw them out now. Wristbands up. Okay, thank you. I didn't know what that is.
Or if you're part of Dark Timber, you can just follow the bagpipes. I'm not going to try to catch up to him. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Good.
All right. What's up, guys?
Biggest?
First. Matches good. Sorry. Tell me anything you want to pick up. Big cleaver on the side. Really hold them, man. Make sure they, see how they fit. That. Who's the next guy over? Which one did you do? Right there? Awesome. Made that. It's going to be great. Amber, go to Amber for me. Okay, easy pick. You just broke Dirk's heart. You just broke Dirk's heart.
Each other out there.
Good. All right, man. Thank you. Congratulations. That's a show stew. Oh my Gotcha.
Onion shell, a small one.
Go ahead.
That
Yeah.
small one?
Oh,
Feel them? I think that's okay.
It's a bit of a 10-inch though.
man, there's too many choices.
You got your tag? Thanks, babe. Oh, you want to keep your card? Or no? Just
So what is
pull the card. I got it for you.
I'm just gonna go to the next level here.
So now I'm heading over to the FOBOS table. I picked up a knife at the Dark Timber table. It was a crow, like sort of an oversized crow with a choil in it, which was the knife that I was eyeing, and I didn't think it was going to be on the table, let alone still there when eye number 13 actually got to it. And then I picked up a Hellion Bowie for some guy on Facebook that I sold a knife to. He found out I was going to Blade. He wanted me to pick one up for him, so he sent me money, and I'm going to mail it to him tomorrow. So yeah, good show so far. Gonna head over to FOBOS, see when they want me to work. So back in the smaller room, heading to the FOBOS booth, and here's the booth. So we got Eric and Ash and BB. So I've just come out to post some stuff on this FOBOS social, and this is, I don't know what line this is, but it goes outside, around the building, out over the walkway. That's crazy. Well, that was the line for will call. Wow, that's pretty insane. Life in the booth. So I'm back in the room. Things were going well at the FOBOS table. I just sort of sat back and I worried about the internet stuff and let the other guys worry about the selling, because I'm not a salesman. So I'm back in the room just looking at my knife. I picked up one knife, and that was Dark Timber Crow, San Mascus Crow with a choil. I guess San Mascus Crow XL. It's a little bit larger than the rest. It's basically the knife that I came for, and I am pleasantly surprised that I was able to pick it up. So that was a nice surprise. I also picked up a knife for somebody else, which I guess I'm going to pack up and mail, and then grab something to eat, and then go back and walk around the show a little bit. I didn't get to walk around the show at all, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm finally taking some time to walk around the show and see what there is to see. Benchmade. This section is usually antique knives, folders, that sort of thing. Back at Dark Timber. So I am at Julio Diaz's table. Diaz Knives. There's Julio. Hey, Julio. So this is the other group that everybody was in line for. Chris Reeve coming up. I used to carry a Chris Reeve Mountaineer 2 as a backpacking knife. It was my first backpacking knife in California. Oh, here's the Vehement booth. Just say hi to everybody. This section is where all the big name brands are. Heading back to the FOBOS booth. There's some of the folks that are in the same room. There's Carnivora. These guys are super cool and they make some really cool knives. And here we go, back at the booth. Heading out of the show. Next up is the Dark Timber barbecue. I won't be taking video of that. Basically, the Dark Timber crowd gets together, and we have a great time hanging out together at a barbecue. Picture of what I've picked up so far. Dark Timber, I don't know, XL crow. It's slightly bigger than regular crows. I picked up this portable strop from Jenna Martin at Skinbender Leatherworks. This was a gift, so thank you, Jenna. I'll be able to take this with me on trips and strop and sharpen my knives, which is kind of cool. Normally I just use my sheath for that sort of thing, but yeah, I'm giving this a try. Picked up this cool t-shirt that Julio Diaz has put out from Diaz Knives. Diaz is local to me. He only lives about, 40 minutes from where I do. And then, I had told myself that I wasn't going to be picking up any more black knife shirts. But we were at the Dark Timber banquet yesterday, and Vita really liked this shirt. So I was like, okay. So I went and got one. In terms of Blade Show booty so far, I'm gonna go get breakfast and then work the FOBOS table. I do need to pick up some Wicked Clean from Fred, so I'll be doing that sometime today. And yeah, it's been a fun show so far. Vita's really having a good time. All the Brotherhood folks have been great to her, which is what you would expect. But yeah, I'd like shout out to the folks that have been helping her along the way. I really appreciate it. So when I talked about my Blade Show booty, I guess maybe I should mention that I swapped out my existing Tier 1 Mini for this PVD one with the green and orange scales. The Mini that I had was satin with black and red, and there's a long story on how I ended up getting that, but that's not really my bag. So all my other FOBOS are basically this combination, so I decided to swap that out and get that. So heading to work the booth right now. There's gonna be a long line, and since I don't have a vendor pass, I'm kind of taking my time because I don't want to stand in that long line. Okay, it's about 9:20. I'm heading into the show, and it looks like there's some folks that spent the night, which is a little odd to me since it's the second day. But there are some vendors that save stuff for both days to put out. So I guess if you're early on a Saturday, that benefits you in some way. Saturday crowd is much bigger than it was yesterday. So I finished my stint with FOBOS, and I'm saying goodbye to some folks that I know and heading out. Just saw Claudio Sobral and met some of the Argentinian knife-making contingent. Gonna head over to Dark Timber and say bye to those folks, and then go home or go back to the hotel and pack. Okay, done my most of my goodbyes, I think, and I'm heading over to the Wicked Industries table to get some Wicked Clean. Here's Fred and his Wicked Clean. Hey, so got my little container of Wicked Clean. I used this on a video way back, and it really did a great job cleaning my knife up. And I think I'll just do a quick look around, because I didn't really get to look at too much of the show. And then I'm just going to head back to the hotel and help Vita pack. Got LT Wright of bushcraft fame, and then we've got SE over here. We've got Condor. Condor's always got some really cool, unique knives.
Wait, I designed this. Wait, I designed this. I love this now. I love this boat.
That's a coincidence.
Of course, you can buy all sorts of knife making materials here, as well as sheath making materials. And of course, knife steels. Well, that's something I've never seen before at Blade Show, and that's an Indonesian Chris. It's upside down, but that's still kind of cool to see. So I just stopped at the DLT trading, and they had some Vehement Foreman mid-tech knives left. Very hard pass on my part. I checked my pocket, and I've still got enough money burning a hole in my pocket to pick that knife up. So, and I'm still thinking about it. Wow, what's going on here? I have no idea. Balisong contest, maybe? Oh, it's a presentation of Balisong.
And I'm going to hear the loudest, the sauciest, the juiciest Blade Show shout out.
So I guess that basically concludes my Blade Show. Little strange not being able to, just sort of walk the aisles and see all the knives and all the stuff that I normally do. Even though I spent a lot of time. Spent a lot of time trying to post things on social media, struggling to get past the Wi-Fi and the cell signal issues that they have here. We're back at the airport, and I am tired. It's I don't know. It's probably going to be a 5.5 hour flight for us, and we'll get home fairly late, but I should be able to get home, get some sleep, get enough sleep to get out and do a nice run tomorrow, so that'll be nice. It's a different kind of Blade Show for me. It was fun. I got to see a lot of people that I don't ever get to see except when I come to Blade Show or go to gatherings, so that was great. Being in the FOBOS booth was different. I'm not much of a salesman, but I did get to sell one knife. I can credit myself for one knife, I talked to the guy about the knife, and he was excited, but the sheath wasn't kind of for him, and so he went and looked around. I guess he was looking for a Kydex maker, and eventually he came back and bought the knife, and I made some adjustments to the sheath for him, and he went off with the knife. So that's that's kind of cool. I didn't really get to see much of the show. I mean, I walked around just sort of on the outskirts and everything else, looking for people that I knew to say hi to. But in terms of, you know, looking at the tables and doing any shopping, you know, I didn't really get to do that. You know, I usually go to the show, I pick up a Dark Timber, I pick up a Vehement, and then I just sort of cruise the show, looking, you know, just looking to see who's got what, and maybe buying interesting stuff. I didn't pick up a Vehement this time around. I kind of decided that I was going to be, you know, very frugal. You know, pick up a Dark Timber if there was a knife on the table for me. You know, I'm really trying not to purchase any knives that I'm not going to use, and I'm trying to get rid of knives that I don't use. So if you're interested in a Kukri or a Russo Huntsman, look me up, because I've got both of those that I'm trying to get rid of. But yeah, so, you know, picking up a Dark Timber wasn't a sure thing. I knew I was going to be at the Phobos table while, you know, the Vehement table typically does its thing. So there's no way for me to get a Vehement there. But it turns out that actually DLT had some mid-techs for sale. And I went and I looked really hard at the mid-tech that was there. Decided not to, because I had just enough money in my pocket to buy the mid-tech. Yeah, so I had just enough money to buy the Vehement, and if I had done that, I'd have like zero cash. So it's always nice to go home spending less cash than you actually brought with you. So I decided to do that instead. There's always next year, there's always other years, and from what I'm seeing online, the knives are actually still on the DLT website, so I can, you know, maybe wait a couple weeks and go pick one up if I'm lucky. Yeah, so I guess I'm heading off to the gate, and hopefully we'll have a safe flight. Hi everybody, it's the Thursday after Blade Show, and I thought I would formally present everything that I picked up at the show. Starting off with this super cool t-shirt from Julio Diaz at Diaz Knives. I've never owned one of Julio's knives, but I have owned a couple of his sheaths, and his sheaths are outstanding. Definitely an incredible value. So if you get a chance, you know, check out Diaz Knives. Now, I told myself I wasn't going to be getting any more black knife t-shirts. I went through my t-shirts last summer, and I was like, man, how did I end up with so many black knife t-shirts? Well, it's pretty simple. You go to Blade Show, and at Blade Show, you could probably pick up 2 free black knife t-shirts just standing in line. Anyway, I told myself I was not going to be picking any more up, and I get to the show, and lo and behold, you know, Dark Timber has these on sale. Now, these are patterned after a mural that Heather Clark painted in Pete Kohler's shop. He's since moved shops. I don't know if the mural was moved, but I believe it was patterned after a Frank Frazetta design. So anyway, I saw these and I'm like, black t-shirt, I'm not going to get one. We go to the Dark Timber barbecue on Friday night. My wife sees it, and my wife's like, that's a really great shirt. You know, do you have any in women's sizes? Well, they didn't have any women's cuts, but she liked it so much that I got one for myself. So another black knife t-shirt. I also got some Phobos swag, so I worked the Phobos booth, as you saw. And so I got the cool blue Phobos t-shirt. I also picked up this super cool camp mug. Now, what Eric tells me about the camp mug is that this decal will probably burn off, but the rest of it's pretty solid. So you can't beat a good camp mug. In addition, I picked up a Phobos Tier 1 Mini. If you haven't seen the Tier 1 Mini, there are lots of reviews online. If you're a fan of the Mini, this is essentially the Mini in a smaller package. So for those fans of the Mini that live in a municipality where 4 inches is too scary and they demand that you carry a 3.5 inch knife, this is the knife for you. 3.5 inch blade. The handle scales, the handle size is the same as the Mini. The difference being it doesn't have the extended pommel, and it's got these skeletonized scales that make it really super light. So super cool there. It comes with FOBOS leather sheath, which I don't know if I ever mentioned it before, but these sheaths have this magnet to help with retention. So it's super strong magnet. I also got a tin of Carnivoro's blade wax. They were giving these out at the Dark Timber table when we picked up knives, as well as some Wicked Clean. If you've seen my video on the Tier 1 BC, you saw me using the Wicked Clean to clean up the BC. So that works great for cleaning up knives. And then of course every FOBOS knife comes with a Wicked Wax. So yeah, it'll be interesting comparing and contrasting the two. I was also fortunate to get this travel strop. You add green or black compound on one side, you've got the other side for stropping, and you can keep your blades nice and sharp when you're in the backcountry. So I'll be bringing this on my backpacking trip later on this summer. Came of course with the Skin Bender Leatherworks sticker and playing card. Now, I picked this up at the Work Tough Gear table. It's not for me, but I thought I would go ahead and show it because it is a cool knife. So this is the Hellion Bowie, designed by Zeke Minacho. Still got the plastic on it. You can see it's really large Bowie. Super cool. It is very light. I don't know what the specs are for this, but as you can see, it's pretty thin. So I mean, yeah, I mean this is a knife that I would be tempted to get, and and even carry, or at least bring with me camping. One of the things that I like about this is the bird beak handle that it has on it. That's designed really to keep your hand in check when you're chopping, or originally when you're actually fighting. So Jason Knight sort of popularized this style. He drew inspiration from the Moro, Bronze, and Chris knives, and one of the things that you see most people doing is they keep the flare, but on those old Moro knives, they didn't always do that. And so if you remember my Wilderness Barong, which is this, when I was with Jason, I said to him, hey, I want to make it a little bit different than most. And so Zeke and I, and it's funny because Zeke and I, we have similar ideas when it comes to knives. And so he created this so that it would sort of have that sort of Moro inspired beak on it, the same way that Jason and I did. And so I think that's a really cool, super cool touch. His is a little bit more modern style, or mine is a little bit more sort of old Moro style. But it's really cool that one, that he recognizes that, and that he recognizes one that the flare isn't necessarily needed in all instances, at least in the back portion. But it's cool that he's sort of recognizing and harking back to the old style knives. So yeah, I think that's really cool. So this knife is, I guess these were Blade Show specials. I guess they're going to be a production knife soon, but they made a bunch for Blade Show, and this one is actually numbered. It says Blade Show Special number 4, and it's made with Bowler K329. So I'm not going to have a review on this. I'm sure that there are other folks that went to Blade Show that are going to be reviewing it. So if you're interested, I would check it out. I mean, this is my Wilderness Barong, and this knife is probably, I don't know, a good 2 inches longer, but they're about the same weight. So, you know, I mentioned the weight to Zeke, and Zeke, I guess a lot of folks have been talking to him about producing some lighter knives, and so he did that with this one. So this is going to be, you know, this is going to be a fast knife for anybody that chooses to get one. And again, it's not my knife. I'm going to be shipping this off tomorrow. Otherwise, I would do a full review. And so, last but not least, is the knife that I ended up picking up for myself at Blade Show. So I went there this year with only one knife in mind, and that would be getting a Dark Timber Crow. In my mind, Peter Kohler is coming close to producing the, you know, the perfect camp knife slash backpacking knife with these crows. Now, if you've watched my videos over the year, you know that the Dark Timber Honey Badger is my choice for a backpacking knife. You also know that my favorite knife is the Randall 25.5, and that I've often called the Randall 25.5 and the Randall 25.6 wilderness EDCs. That is, those blades that, you know, if you were spending a lot of time in the woods, whether you were a rancher or a pack train operator, this is the kind of knife that you would want on your hip if you were, you know, living in a cabin in the woods. This is the kind of knife you'd want on you 24/7. Now, with his new crows, what Peter has done is he's taken you know, similar characteristics to the 25.5 or the 25.6, and he's created his take on a camp knife with a lower quillion or a lower guard. And as you know, as I'm getting older, I'm really appreciating more and more having this guard on my knives. So, you know, in my view, the perfect knife would be a honey badger that had that guard. And so his new crows are very similar to that. Now, most of them were in the 5.5, I think, to 6.5 inch range, but there were a couple that were larger. One, oh, and look at that! It went right through the. It went right through. Went right through there. There were a couple that were larger, and I happened to get one. So this is, I don't know if he called it a Crow XL, but this is a 7.5 inch blade in his Crow design. So you've got the bird speak handle here in the back, right, which is good for locking in my hand, doing a lot of chopping if that's what I need to do. You've got this guard here. You've got a choil, which of course I like a choil, so I can lock up here nice and tight and you know, work on things really close. You can see set the Honey Badger is a 7-inch blade. This is an 8-inch blade. So for backcountry use, I think this is a little long. I prefer, you know, I really am locked into this knife. I really do like this size and weight. So as I say, I think he's close, at least for me, to having a perfect wilderness backpacking camp knife. There was another knife that was there that was very similar to this one, slightly wider blade. You know, the one thing that's important for a wilderness knife, at least for me, is having this flat edge so that, you know, when you're batoning and stuff, it doesn't get beat up. This has a you know, it has a false wedge on it, so when I use it, it's going to beat up the baton pretty much. But, you know, from a weight standpoint, this is a really good weight, and I just need to make a sheath for it, and you know, I'll be able to carry it. I've got a couple sheaths that fit this, but again, you know, this 8-inch length is a little different. So yeah, so you know, for me, Peter's getting very, very close to the perfect knife. I will probably be making a video on this. I need to make a sheath, and if I can make a sheath and film the video before I go on my backpacking trip, I will. I probably have said everything I wanted to say in that video about the perfect backpacking knife, so maybe I won't make it now because I've basically presented it here. But yeah, this is close to perfection in my view. I went into Blade Show actually not thinking that I was going to pick up a knife. You know, I went there, of course, to get a knife. But you know, looking at the blades that Peter was making, there were only a few of the larger crows that were available. Now, regardless, I would have picked up a smaller crow if that's what I was left with. But I think going into the show, there were two knives that I was most interested in. This was one of them. I didn't think that this was going to be on the table. The other one wasn't available, and I only thought that there were going to be, I don't know why I thought this, I only thought there were going to be maybe three crows in total, maybe 4. And so when I got to Blade Show late, being number 13, I was like, oh, there's for sure no way that I'm gonna get a crow. Peter didn't seem to think that people were gonna want to pick these up for some reason. And again, I mean, if you're a knife user, backpacker, camper, this is absolutely the kind of knife that you want. So I knew that they were going to be popular, and so when I got to Blade Show late and I was number 13, I was like, you know, there's no way that I'm going to be able to pick one of these up. And again, I didn't think this one was actually going to be on the table. So when we got there on Friday morning, and it turned out that there were like 6 or, there were like, well, I think there were like 5 or 6, maybe even 7 crows on the table. I was pleasantly surprised, because then I realized, I mean, at first I thought, okay, well, I'll go in and there are going to be like 3 crows, and they'll probably get chosen before me. And if it comes to my turn and there's nothing there for me, then, I've got people that weren't in line that I know that would want a knife. I'll just get a knife for one of them. And so when I saw this, I was like, oh, wow, okay, this one's still on the table. And I thought it was going to go fairly fast, but I mean, it is a big knife, right? And I think a lot of those guys there wanted, smaller kind of EDC kind of knives, something along this size, or along that size, which worked out for me. When I got to my turn as number 13, there were 2 crows left on the table. There was this one, and then there was a really tiny one that was more along, this size. And so, yeah, I definitely lucked out. The other guys chose differently, and I ended up with this one. So this is going to be on my hip this summer in the Immigrant, if I get my sheath made. And yeah, if I get around to it, I'll make a video. This is what's called San Mascus. So it's basically like San Mai, except that the outer steel is Damascus. And I prefer this over, I mean, I like San Mai blades to begin with, but I prefer this over Damascus blade. I'm not a real big fan of Damascus blades, with the exception of Peter came out with a feather pattern, and it, I really liked the feather pattern. And surprisingly, and I didn't think I would until I saw them, I really liked the reverse feather pattern, which is basically the pattern going in the opposite direction. And if I can, I'll put up pictures. But yeah, this knife, you can see, I mean, the edge is almost to a mirror finish. It's got his maker's mark right in here, so it's sort of has a forged finish there. You can see the 2 layers of steel showing through. I think this is wrought iron here, and I don't know the handle material. I don't tend to ask people about that kind of stuff, so I don't know if this is dyed maple or what this actually is. I'll have to go back and look at some of his videos. Maybe he's mentioned it. This looks like a bahi or a palm kind of a wood, but I'll ask. But anyway, it's got his pin in the middle with his maker mark. So I'm excited to give this a shot this summer. and yeah, hopefully I'll get to making a video on it. So that's really all I had to say about my Blade Show pickups. If anybody has any questions for me, you know, just let me know. If you've watched the entire Blade Show video until this point, thank you for that. You know, I really appreciate it. And now you know what it's like for me to to go to Blade Show. Going to Blade Show and standing in line for a knife and then working the show is probably not the smartest idea, because typically that Friday comes a Blade Show, and for being in line from being in line for 3 days, you're just dead tired by the time the show comes along. And I'm usually walking around the show as sort of a zombie anyway, but then to try to work a table at the same time was probably not the best idea. You know, we spend 3 nights out there, 2 or 3 nights out there, and you know, we all have ways to sleep, but nobody's really sleeping, right? You're catching an hour here, an hour there, maybe. There's always somebody up, so you know, if I fall back in my chair at about 11 o'clock and I wake up at 1 o'clock, you know, there's just somebody up. And if I fall back asleep again and I wake up at 3:30, there's somebody up. So, and you know, the lights are never off, so you've always got the lights there. And so, yeah, it's just not conducive to getting good sleep. But, yeah, it was a fun show overall. And, again, if you've watched to this point, thank you. I appreciate it. If you like what you're seeing on the channel, you know, please subscribe and like the videos. That really helps me out. Yeah, I'm not going to be filming too much this summer. I've got a very busy summer, and not a whole lot of that involves fishing. However, I do have 2 long trips planned. So there's the immigrant trip that's coming up in a couple weeks, and then Labor Day weekend, I'm hoping to do 10 days in the High Sierra. Yeah, stay tuned. Thanks for watching.